My fiancée's bachelorette party livestream showed her lap dancing for random guys. She didn't know I was tagged in the video. I didn't call, just forwarded it to her very religious grandmother who was paying for the wedding. The wedding got cancelled within hours. I, 29 male, was supposed to get married in 3 weeks. Was. Past tense. My fiancée and I have been together for 4 years, engaged for 18 months. She's 27, works in pharmaceutical sales, comes from what I thought was a pretty conservative family. Her grandmother, who raised her after her parents' divorce, is extremely religious. Southern Baptist, church 3 times a week, the whole 9 yards. She's also loaded. Old money from her late husband's business. When we got engaged, she offered to pay for the entire wedding as her gift to us. We're talking $85,000 for a venue, catering, flowers, the works. My fiancé was thrilled. I was grateful, but honestly, would have been fine with something smaller. Her grandmother had one condition. The wedding had to be in a church, and we had to attend premarital counseling with her pastor. Fine. Whatever makes Grandma happy. The bachelorette party was last weekend. She went with her maid of honor, 2 bridesmaids, and her cousin. They flew out Thursday, coming back Sunday. Standard stuff. She texted me when they landed, sent a few photos of them at dinner, told me she loved me. Saturday night, I was home playing video games with my best man. Around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Someone had tagged me in a video. I didn't recognize the account. It was some nightclub's promotional page. They post videos of people partying, standard nightclub marketing. The caption was something like, "Saturday nights hit different," with a bunch of hashtags. In the video, my fiancé was giving a lap dance to some random guy at a VIP table, full grinding, his hands on her hips, her dress riding up. She was laughing, having the time of her life. Then she moved to another guy at the same table. Same treatment. My best man saw my face go white. "Bro, what?" I showed him. He didn't say anything for a solid minute. Then, "That's definitely her." It was. Same dress she'd sent me a photo of earlier that night. Same group of friends visible in the background cheering her on. I watched the video maybe 10 times. Different guys, plural. Not just one drunken mistake. She was working that table like she was getting paid for it. One of the guys slipped what looked like cash into her dress. She took it and kept dancing. I didn't call her, didn't text, didn't say a word. Instead, I screenshot the video and forwarded it to her grandmother. I added one line. "I thought you should see this before you finalize the payment for the flowers tomorrow." Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. Woke up Sunday morning to absolute chaos. 43 missed calls, 89 text messages, voicemails from my fiancé, her maid of honor, her mom, her sister. The wedding was canceled. Her grandmother had apparently called her at 2 a.m. screaming, then called the venue and canceled the booking, then called the caterer, the florist, the photographer. One by one, she systematically dismantled the entire wedding. My fiancé's first text to me was, "What did you do?" Interesting. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "I can explain." Just immediate blame on me for showing someone what she did. Her follow-up texts ranged from angry to desperate to threatening. Said I'd ruined her life. Said the grandmother had completely cut her off. Said she'd never forgive me for this. Cool. Don't remember asking for forgiveness for forwarding a video you starred in, but okay. Her mom called me a vindictive little man. Her maid of honor said I was toxic for not giving her a chance to explain. Explain what? I watched her grind on multiple strangers while guys stuffed money in her dress. What's the explanation? Temporary amnesia? Here's what gets me, though. She hasn't apologized, not once. In 43 calls and 89 texts, not a single, "I'm sorry." Just anger that she got caught and anger that there were consequences. The grandmother called me yesterday, just to say she was sorry for what I was going through and that she'd raised her better than this. She also said the wedding deposits were non-refundable, but she'd rather lose $40,000 than watch me marry someone who doesn't respect marriage before it even starts. I thanked her, genuinely. That woman has more integrity than her entire family combined. My fiancé is demanding to talk in person. I've refused. What's left to say? She showed me exactly who she is when she thought no one was watching. Or when she forgot the internet exists, I guess. The engagement ring was mine, bought with my money. Already contacted a jeweler about resale. Should get about 60% back. Not great, but better than nothing. Apartment lease is in my name. She's been staying with her maid of honor since she got back. Came by yesterday to get some of her stuff while I was at work. Took more than she should have, including my PlayStation. Texted her she had 24 hours to return it, or I'd report it stolen. She dropped it off this morning. So yeah, 3 weeks from what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I'm single, out a few thousand in various expenses, and processing the fact that the woman I was going to marry would take money to grind on strangers at a club. But at least I found out before the wedding. That's the silver lining I keep telling myself. Update 1, 5 days later. Things escalated pretty fast after my last post. First, some context people asked about. Yes, she knew she was being filmed. The club literally has signs everywhere saying they live stream and post content. Yes, she was tagged because someone recognized her from our joint Instagram, which I've since made private. And yes, her grandmother really did cancel everything within hours. I verified with the venues myself. Now, for what's happened since. Tuesday, 2 days after I posted, my fiancée showed up at my apartment unannounced. I was working from home. She still had her key, which I'd been meaning to change. She just walked in. "We need to talk," she said. I disagree. You don't get to just blow up my entire life and then ghost me. You don't get to give lap dances to random dudes at your bachelorette party and then act like I'm the bad guy. She sat down on the couch like she still lived there. It was my bachelorette party. Do you know what those are for? Last night of freedom. Every bride does crazy stuff. Every bride lets strangers put cash in her dress? She rolled her eyes. It was like $20 total. It was a joke. The guys were funny and bought us champagne. I was just being friendly. You were grinding on them. It's called dancing. God, you're so uptight. I stared at her. This was the woman I was going to marry. This person who genuinely saw nothing wrong with what she did. I want you to leave. No. Not until we work this out. You embarrassed me in front of my grandmother, in front of my whole family. Do you know what they're saying about me? Probably that you were lap dancing for strangers 3 weeks before your wedding. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. She started crying then. The tears I'd been expecting since this whole thing started. I love you. I made one mistake. One. And you're throwing away 4 years because of it? You're throwing away 4 years. I just showed someone a video. To my grandmother. You could have come to me. We could have talked about it. But no, you went nuclear and now she's cut me out of the will. There it was. The real issue. Not that she'd hurt me. Not that she'd disrespected our relationship. That she'd lost access to Grandma's money. I think you should go. We're not done talking. Yeah, we are. I stood up, walked to the door and opened it. She sat there for another minute, like she was waiting for me to change my mind. When I didn't, she grabbed her purse and stormed out. You're going to regret this, she said. You'll never find anyone like me. That's the hope. Thursday, her mom called. This conversation was somehow worse. You need to fix this, she said. No hello. Fix what? My daughter is devastated. Her wedding is ruined. Her relationship with her grandmother is destroyed. And it's all because you couldn't handle a little harmless fun. Harmless fun? Bachelorette parties are supposed to be wild. That's the whole point. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas or wherever they were. Except it didn't stay there. It ended up on the internet, tagged to my name. So your ego got bruised. That's no reason to destroy a family. I almost laughed. I didn't destroy anything. Your daughter made choices. I showed someone those choices. The consequences are on her. She's been crying for days. She can't eat. She can't sleep. Are you happy? Not particularly. I'm dealing with my own stuff, like finding out my fiancé would grind on strangers for cash. It wasn't like that. I watched the video multiple times. It was exactly like that. She hung up on me. Friday, I got a letter from a lawyer. Not a lawsuit, just a demand letter. My ex was claiming she was entitled to reimbursement for various wedding expenses she'd paid out of pocket. Dress alterations, bachelorette party flights, deposits for things I'd apparently promised to cover but hadn't yet. Total demand, $8,400. I called my buddy who's a lawyer. He laughed for about 30 seconds. She has no case, he said. Wedding expenses aren't legally recoverable when an engagement ends, especially when the engagement ended due to her own actions. This is just harassment. Ignore it. So I ignored it. Saturday, things got weirder. Her maid of honor texted me from a new number. I'd blocked her old one. You're seriously not going to talk to her? She's a mess. She made a mistake. People deserve forgiveness. People also deserve to know who they're marrying before they marry them. She was drunk. She doesn't even remember half of it. That's not the defense you think it is. You're being so cold. This isn't the person she is. Apparently it is. You know what? You never deserved her anyway. She was settling. We all said it. Cool. Sounds like I did her a favor then. Blocked that number too. Sunday yesterday, I changed the locks. Should have done it immediately. The landlord was understanding when I explained the situation. Cost me $150, worth every penny. I've been sleeping better, actually. The first few nights were rough. Kept waking up, reaching for someone who wasn't there. But by day 4 or 5, I started feeling something unexpected. Relief. The more I think about it, the more red flags I remember. Times she'd get weirdly defensive about her phone. Nights she came home late from work events, smelling like alcohol. The way she'd flirt with waiters and bartenders and call it being friendly. I thought I was being paranoid. Turns out, I was being observant, still processing everything, still angry, still sad in weird moments, but also increasingly sure I dodged a bullet. Update 2, 2 weeks later. Final update, probably. A lot has happened. Some of it satisfying, some of it messy, most of it just exhausting. After my last post, my ex escalated again. Her lawyer's demand letter got a formal response from my buddy. Did it for free, charged her attorney for the stamp. Basically said her claims had no legal merit and any further harassment would result in us pursuing a restraining order. That shut down the official legal stuff, but it didn't stop the personal attacks. Her cousin, one of the bridesmaids from the Bachelorette party, reached out earlier this week. She was actually apologetic, said she'd tried to stop my ex from dancing like that but got shut down. Said the maid of honor was the one encouraging it, filming it, laughing about it. I feel terrible, she said. I should have called you that night. I almost did. Why didn't you? Honestly, I was scared of the blowback. She gets really mean when people call her out. I know that's not an excuse. It wasn't an excuse. But I appreciated the honesty. She also told me something I didn't know. Apparently my ex had been bragging to the group about how the wedding was basically free because Grandma was paying for everything. Said once they were married, she'd have it made because I had good career prospects and she could coast. Her words, according to the cousin. That stung more than the video, honestly. Learning you were a financial plan more than a partner. But here's where things get interesting. The grandmother called me again last week. We talked for almost an hour. She apologized again, said she'd been watching her granddaughter's behavior for years and hoping she'd grow out of it. The video was the final straw. I've given that girl everything, she said. Paid for her college, her car, her apartment for years, and she's never once shown gratitude, just entitlement. She told me she'd rewritten her will. My ex was out entirely. The cousin who tried to stop things, she's now the primary beneficiary. I didn't ask for this information. She volunteered it. I think she wanted me to know there were real consequences. There's more. My ex's company found out about the video. Someone at the nightclub apparently posted it to Twitter, and it went mildly viral in a bachelorette party gone wrong kind of way. One of her co-workers recognized her. It got back to her manager. Pharmaceutical sales is all about relationships and trust. Looking professional matters. Having a video of yourself doing that doesn't exactly scream, "Trust me with your medical decisions." She wasn't fired, but she was transitioned to an inside sales role. No more client visits, significant pay cut. Her maid of honor texted me from yet another new number, blaming me for leaking the video. I didn't leak anything. The club posted it publicly. The internet did what the internet does. I just forwarded it to one person. Everything else was organic consequences of her own choices. But of course, it's still somehow my fault. Last Tuesday, she showed up at my apartment again. This time she couldn't get in because of the new locks. She sat outside my door for 2 hours. I know because my neighbor texted me updates. She's crying. She's on the phone yelling at someone. She's writing something. Note maybe. When I got home from work, there was a 4-page letter slid under my door. I'll summarize. Page 1, how much she loves me and how we're meant to be together. Page 2, how this was all a misunderstanding and I overreacted. Page 3, how everyone has abandoned her, grandmother, family, now her job is suffering, and it's not fair. Page 4, how if I don't take her back, she'll have nothing left and can't be responsible for what happens. That last part made me uncomfortable. I called her mom. Your daughter left a letter that sounds like she might hurt herself. I'm telling you so you can check on her. This is the last contact I'm having with your family. Her mom's response? If she does anything, it's your fault. You did this to her. I hung up and blocked her number. Also saved the letter and documented the call just in case. The cousin reached out again yesterday. Said my ex was fine, just being dramatic for attention. Said the family was handling it, but that everyone was exhausted by her behavior. Apparently this wasn't the first time she'd pulled the "I'll hurt myself" card to manipulate a situation. I felt relief and guilt for feeling relief, and then more relief. So where does that leave me? I got about $4,200 back from the ring resale. Less than I hoped, but enough to cover the various deposits I'd personally paid that weren't refundable. The apartment is mine again, cleaned it top to bottom, rearranged the furniture, made it feel like my space instead of our space. I've been seeing a therapist, just started last week, already helpful. She pointed out something I hadn't considered. I made a decision in the moment, based on instinct. I didn't scheme or plan revenge. I just showed someone the truth and let the chips fall. That's not vindictive. That's honest. My ex's grandmother sent me a card in the mail. Actual card, with a handwritten note. She thanked me for having more integrity than most men twice your age. Said she'd pray for me. Coming from her, that means something. Do I feel bad about how things went down? Sometimes. Late at night, mostly. 4 years is a long time. There were good moments. I loved who I thought she was, but I don't regret what I did. She showed me who she really is when she thought no one was watching. The grandmother deserved to know before she spent $85,000 on a wedding that was built on lies. My ex never apologized. Not once, in all those calls and texts and letters. She blamed me, blamed the club, blamed her friends, blamed the internet. Never once said, "I made a mistake and I'm sorry." That tells me everything I need to know. I'm not dating anyone, not looking to. My therapist says I need time to process, and she's right. I'm focusing on work, friends, figuring out who I am outside of a relationship I thought would last forever. It's weird. 3 weeks ago, I was planning a wedding. Now I'm planning how to be single at 29 and starting over. Life's funny that way. But I'd rather start over than spend my life with someone who doesn't respect me. Someone who thinks she can do whatever she wants and blame everyone else for the consequences. Thanks for following this mess. Time to move forward. One last thing. The nightclub video is still up. I checked. It has about 400,000 views now. Some consequences are permanent. Hers will follow her forever. And that's not my fault. That's just the internet. Peace.